And let our hearts be filled, our minds open, as we continue on our journey this morning. And so it is. Amen. So we are going to begin a new series. It is about grateful living, and it is based on the work of Christy Nelson. And I'd like to start this morning by sharing her story, what led her to writing the book, Wake Up Grateful. At 33 years old, I was diagnosed with stage 4 Hodgkin's lymphoma that had metastasized to my spine. After going through 18 months of hospitalization, surgeries, chemotherapies, and treatments, I asked my oncologist, "When will I be out of the woods?" He answered, "You will never be out of the woods." Having worked so hard to stay alive, I had not grasped the degree of uncertainty, and I struggled. Would I ever be able to survive another day? Understanding that my life would only ever be lived with the caveat, "for now," was sobering. I wondered, how can I continue to live this way? What am I able to count on? How can I possibly plan for the future? How do I live while expecting to die? The first few years of uncertainty and remission put the blessing of my life in sharp relief. I was in super soak mode. Every experience was saturated with new meaning. I did not know any other way to live the moments I had than to greet each one as gratefully as I could. Not sure how much more time was mine, I was awestruck by every moment, every person, and everything. Being grateful the first few years was relatively easy and revelatory. I would wake up and bathe in the light that would enter through my windows, hear the birds singing, and notice I was still breathing. Sometimes I would have to touch my face to make sure I was not living a dream. I could put both of my feet on the floor and walk freely to the kitchen where I could make a cup of tea. It was enough to make me start each day with tears of joy. Being alive was enough. But over time, all of those amazing reasons to feel grateful joined the ranks of taken for granted. I got healthy and I got busy. I began chasing goals and the fulfillment they promised. I martyred myself to my job, complained about things like traffic, my weight, and colds. I ruthlessly compared myself to others, succumbed to retail, therapy, and debt, and I suffered from stress. Each year that passed, I built up a kind of gratitude tolerance. What used to be enough got left in the dust in the pursuit of having more. Having cheated death, I began cheating life. Powerful. So although I cannot relate to, nor did I ever have, been diagnosed with a terminal illness, I can relate to what Christy refers to as the gratitude super soak, right? When something happens in your life and then it seems like it shifts you, And there's a gratitude where you see things for the first time. Many of you know, 3 years ago, I had major back surgery. Prior to that surgery, I couldn't walk more than 3 minutes without excruciating pain. In fact, one time I was only half a block away from my house. I was going for a walk with Matt, and I was frozen there. The pain was so bad I couldn't move. I was questioning whether he had to pick me up over his shoulder, whether he had to go get his car. And then finally I realized that if I moved sideways or backwards, the pain was tolerable and I could make it back to the house. So after undergoing some serious back surgery, 2 weeks after, I was going for a walk, and it was 10 minutes in, and I was not experiencing that excruciating pain. Yes, there was surgical pain, but it was mild in comparison to the pain that I felt. Going for a walk filled me with such delight. I noticed the brightness of the leaves, the sun shining, laying as I took respite for a couple of weeks, just resting in bed. Everything was filled with gratitude, the love that I received from this community. Like I felt such a brightness. Well, 3 years later, I'm not saying that I don't experience gratitude or gratefulness, but I can tell you going for a walk is not that, woo, I get to go for a walk. Look at me, look at the birds. Some days it's like, oh, I know I really need to exercise. I really know I need to move my body. Like, where did that gratefulness go? Can anybody relate to having a super soak gratitude or grateful experience turning into gratitude remission, so to speak? That's not our words. Has anybody been there besides me? Yeah. So we know the spiritual journey is about taking each moment as we navigate our humanity and our divinity. So Christy Nelson was determined. How could I dive deep? How can I see the extraordinary, the beauty, and return to that place from living within my heart, not only when the things I loved, I reveled in, but in the messiness of life. So she went on her quest, and her quest led her to find the work of Father David Steindl-Ras. Anybody hear of him? He actually, as a teenager, was in Vienna during World War II and tells these stories of hiding in the basement of the church. And every time there would be an air raid, bombing, he would come out and they would be so grateful. And the feeling of gratefulness from a cup of soup because food was scarce, just surviving a raid was enough to fill him with gratitude. To make a long story short, it led him into a monastic life, and he founded in 2000 the Network for Grateful Living. So Christy found the network and she began to study with Father David. And it took her deeper. And a lot of his teachings are what's in this, in Wake Up Grateful. And she's wanting, he has his own writings in his own right, but wanting to bring her story and his teachings and how they blessed her into life is why she wrote the book. In current day, she is now, Father David has since passed, she is the head ambassador of a network for grateful living. And so she continues to be disciplined, knowing that grateful living, the spiritual journey, is something that we must attend to, must be devoted to. And so today we begin a new series based on her work, Wake Up Grateful. And it will be probably 6-week series or so. And so today what we're going to focus on is gratitude and gratefulness, coming up with a common definition. You're entitled to your own, but I would like to speak into how she sees it, which comes from Father David. What's the difference? It's a both and. We're no longer in either or, right? The polarities. They're both good. And then we're going to look at some inhibitors to gratefulness, grateful living. And then in other weeks, we're going to look at the principles of grateful living and something Reverend David, a practice to help you shift you in the moment called Stop, Look, and Go. So let us begin. Gratitude and gratefulness. May seem like a little minutia, but I want to share what she puts forward here. So she speaks, gratitude is great, gratefulness is greater. Okay, it's both and. So how they define gratitude is a condition that we like or want. Oh, it's a sunny day and we're going to a picnic. I am so filled with gratitude, right? My surgery was successful. I got the right outcome. I am so filled with gratitude. So it's like something occurs that I like or favor, and I feel gratitude, which is a wonderful thing, and you should continue to do it. And it's also reaction to something. If I walk into our family dinners that we do monthly, someone in our family picks a restaurant and we go, and my nephew Danny, who's 8, who I adore, and I say, come on, Danny, give me a hug. And he hugs me. I am filled with gratitude. But if he's not in a good mood, I got a good track record here so far. But anyway, if he's not in a good mood, how 8-year-olds can be, no thank you, push me away. Will the gratitude elude me? So it depends on a condition or something happen. Gratefulness, I already alluded to, is being able to see the beauty, perhaps the joy, the gift, the blessing, even in the messiness of it. Even if my nephew, this is an easier one on the list for me, can not embrace me with a hug that day, I still feel gratitude for his presence. Some other things I might have to work a little harder on. So let's look at what Christy shares with us about gratefulness and gratitude. And she shares this. Gratefulness does not reserve itself only for when good things happen or we get what we want. It is more than simply saying thank you when things go well or counting your blessings at the end of the day. That gratitude list. Gratefulness reveals the deeper truth of, I woke up again today. Or, I can still notice beauty after another hard day. It enables us to have the tenacity to attend and respond in a more resilient way to our challenges. It is a perspective shift to, no matter what happens, I still know that every moment offers me something for which to feel thankful, and I will make myself available to the exploration. Gratefulness opens us up to the opportunity to experience gratitude in every moment. Gratefulness is gratitude for life. Beautiful. Both end. And so what I would like to do is, we're going to be exploring those spiritual disciplines and practices around grateful living, but she starts us off with us looking at those things that can inhibit experiencing a grateful heart, grateful living. And those inhibitors stem from conditioned thinking, based on society, the way, what makes us happy, when we live from the outside in rather than the inside out. It also comes from Maybe we have, a personal tendency to look at the world from the glass half filled, right? So we also, through the years, have created some stories about ourselves and others, and some of those stories are not based on spiritual truth or the truth of who we are, but maybe on the projections or the hurts we've experienced. And we create a story that I am not seen, I am not heard because I am not lovable. And we don't even know sometimes in the background how those things may play. So let's take a look at some of these inhibitors. So, first one is assumptions and expectations. So, for each one of the inhibitors, she shares what that inhibitor might say. So it is, I thought it was going to be different than this, or I wanted it to be different than this. I expected it to be different than this. We don't even know that that is playing in the background. An expectation is something that you want to happen, but you are not sure will. An assumption is something you think will happen, and you're almost sure it will. So the people in the Atlas of the Heart know we spent some time on expectations, right? We have expectations that we might be aware of, and we have expectations that she called those stealth expectations, right? Those that we don't maybe think about, but they're hidden in our unconsciousness. And something very simple may be something like this. Well, when my partner comes in for work, I'm expecting them to greet me with joy and to give me a hug and a big fat kiss, right? I don't think about it all day. I don't have my clock or timer on, or maybe you don't, or whatever it may be. But then when it doesn't happen, do I feel disappointed? Do I make it mean something? Can I still walk and have an open heart? And I can say a lot of days I can, not that this is a true story for me. I'm just making sure Matt's in the back. He's very loving and lovable. So you guys get it, right? So then the next inhibitor set is comparisons and jealousy. And comparison and jealousy says, I would be grateful if I had what they have, or I would be grateful if I was included, if I was part of it, right? Also, Brene Brown talks about this distinction between jealousy and envy, which gets confused. Jealousy is that feeling that has to do with relationships. It usually has to do with triads or more, right? It's like, oh, my best, I have some really good friends, and I found out that they went to lunch and nobody called me. I might feel jealousy. It has to do with, relationships, triads, or more. Envy, she gives the good old garden variety envy, and it's normal, we experience, and there's no malice. Donna went to Greece. Oh, I am so envious. I want to do that. It doesn't mean now I'm never going to speak to her again. Right? And I'm going to get the little horns out on. No, I don't feel that. I'm excited. I want to talk about it. But then there is the malice envy. When somebody has experienced something or had something, the rich get richer, right? Life is not fair. It's rigged. Those who have connections get it all. So on and so on. There's that little bit of malice. So if we're in the experience of jealousy and envy, or covetousness, then gratefulness can elude us in that moment. So we move to the inhibitors, scarcity and instability. We exist in a society, in a culture of consumerism. More buy is good. And that next new sweater on QVC is going to make me look like the cat's meow. It's going to make me happy. I'm having a bad day. Anybody else can relate? By the way, I don't know sweater, but but how many of you have ever done, as she spoke to, retail therapy? Yes, right? More. These things are going to make me feel grateful, happy, make me feel good. I need more in order to feel grateful, or I need this from out here. So she wants to make the distinction of how she's defining scarcity, because scarce means not enough supply. Like holding in prayer those who are in Gaza right now, who are existing with a scarce amount of power, of food, of water, basic rights. The scarcity we're talking about here is a mindset that more is better. That something out here is going to make me happy, and that leads to instability. Because as long as we're searching for something out here, or we don't think there's enough, I'm enough, you're not enough, gratitude and grateful living will elude me. And so we move into entitlement. Put your pinkies out. No. And entitlement says, I deserve this and more. Now, I'm not talking about like, I am worthy of receiving good in my life. This is, if I do X, or because I'm a good person or did this, I deserve this. So it comes with a kind of that expectation. I deserve this and more. And Christy shares, feeling that life must unfold in a particular way that will please us and is a recipe for loss, and a loss of humility and connection. Entitlement can often look like arrogance. It is also the sibling of greed. The vulnerability of the underbelly, of entitlement is often due to an inferiority complex. None of this makes it easy to feel gratitude or live with a grateful heart. An invulnerability. I do not want or owe anyone anything. It also can say, I don't need anybody. It's safer to do it myself. I can't rely on anybody. Others will disappoint me. That's invulnerability. We talked about last week the poles, right? Dancing the both and. And one of those is dependence and interdependence, right? And based on what our relationships were like growing up and into adulthood, some of us may tend to have dealt with pain and suffering by that pole. I am not going to make myself dependent on anybody. I am not going to allow myself to be vulnerable to anybody, because it's just not, it didn't work, it won't work, and I will never go there again. Or we can be on the other side of that pole. I handled it by needing to be close. Maybe I've had, couldn't rely, on my caregivers, my family. Maybe my partner left, and I may have that survival mechanism of, around abandonment. And so I need to know where you are at all times. You need to be my whole thing. So there's that balance of knowing that we are here for each other, that we mirror, not only are we here to embrace each other's humanity, but we mirror connection and love. We experience God. We are all living expressions of God. Eric Butterworth said we are God with skin on. And being vulnerable, allowing yourself to share your deepest heart with somebody, is such a beautiful thing. And it is obviously to be done with someone you feel can hold you in that space of support. but it is not something frivolous. And so we walk that. So sometimes if we are not wanting to be vulnerable or receive support, and we can do it all on our own, we close our heart, and a grateful heart is only an expression when it can be open. The giver and the receiver. I am love, you are love. I give love, no expectations, I receive it. And then we move into the last one, obligations. It is my duty to do so. It is our have to list, right? It is something that we are morally obligated to. It is our, those things that we believe that we have to do rather than that desire coming from, ooh, I desire to do this. And so we're going to look at this in just a moment. There's a simple exercise I'm going to leave you with. And so before we come to that close, I would like us to just review as we prepare to go deeper into the devotional practice of living with a grateful heart, is to look for these throughout your day. Look for these inhibitors. How are they showing them up, right? Part of the spiritual journey is about self-awareness. Notice it. Perhaps journal about it. Assumptions, expectations, comparisons, jealousy, scarcity, and instability, entitlement, invulnerability, and obligation. I want to share something even before that was so helpful as an example. I guess I had the experience of assumptions, expectations, and maybe some jealousy this past week. Last Sunday, on my way home from service, I saw a post, and it was a post of something wonderful happening within my family, my extended family. And I squealed with joy. So later, before, when I got to the house, I wanted to look at this person's page so I can share it with my mother. And then under that particular post, I saw a video, so I hit play. And in the video, the day before, my entire family was at a party, except for me, my husband, and my mom. Well, I guess I had the expectation to be included in that family gathering. Perhaps I felt, yes, some jealousy, but more than jealousy for me was that old story. I'm not seen, I'm not heard by my family. Right? I didn't even realize it. Now, most people, right, I felt hurt and I felt left out. But I processed it so much more quickly. I was able to identify it. I was able to communicate it in a matter-of-fact way. And I wasn't expecting at this point for my brother, got the cat out of the bag for one member, to offer me an apology. Wasn't expecting it. I didn't know if I would be, yet again, the one who walks to her own beat, which is okay because I'm kind of liking my beat, which sung through. But prior to receiving that email, without that expectation, I was able to go back to the story. For it wouldn't have had so much fire if there was somewhere in me that wasn't still dancing with, I'm not worthy to be seen or heard. I've come a long way. So there, the gratefulness came up. The gratefulness for me to be able to speak my feelings with courage and strength, not being vulnerable, not knowing, will I be excluded some more, and knowing it was okay because I no longer needed to have my X, Y, or Z in my family to be the ones who told me how worthy I was. Like, it just went so much deeper. So that's the gratefulness that came from that was beautiful. It doesn't mean that we're always going to like something. But had I not done that, I might have been still here walking with some resentment. So I leave it to you. This stuff is powerful. I am not saying it is easy, but it certainly is worth the journey, because when we open our hearts, we can look, see, tell the truth. What is covering my heart that sometimes hides the truth of my knowing that I am love, that you are love? So here is that simple moving from obligation to opportunity. So identify your have to, your to-do lists. For some of you, it would be like, it's getting close to the end of the month. I have to pay the bills. There's no more, no more almond milk in the fridge, or running low on such and such. I'm so busy, but I have to go shopping. I have to clean the bathroom. If that is a desire of your heart, good for you. No, some things I feel good about. I have to go to the dentist. I have to go to work late. I have to work late tonight. So she shares this. Change your I have to's to, you may have heard this before, I get to because I can. So here's how that looks. I get to pay my bills because I can. I get to go grocery shopping because I can. I get to clean the bathroom, yay, because I can, because before back surgery I couldn't do it. I get to go to the dentist because I can. I get to work late tonight because I can. What do you notice? Lightness, joy. It's a gratitude, appreciation. So, my friends, I invite you into these, just looking for those inhibitors, and especially the obligations, and turning them into I get to because I can. And so I'd like to close with this last quote, which is going to lead us into meditation. So I'm going to say it 3 times. First, I'm going to say it. Second time, I'm going to invite you to recite it with me. And then the third time, I'm going to ask you to begin closing your eyes, and it will lead us into meditation. So here we go. This comes from Mary Jean Iron. Normal day, let me be aware of the treasure you are. Let me learn from you, love you, savor you, bless you before you depart. Let me not pass you by in the quest of some rare and perfect tomorrow. Together. Normal day, let me be aware of the treasure you are. Let me learn from you, love you, savor you, bless you before you depart. Let me not pass by you, but in quest for some rare and perfect tomorrow. And so I invite you now, if it feels right, to gently close your eyes as the lights are lowered, and bringing your awareness to your breath as we take these profound words deeper. Oh, normal day, this precious day, let me be aware of the treasure you are. Let me learn from you, love you, savor you, bless you before you depart. Let me not pass by you for the quest of some rare and perfect tomorrow. And as you sense those words becoming alive within your heart, bring your awareness fully to your heart space. As you sense the breath emanating with each inhalation and exhalation from your human heart, which is in perfect rhythm with your spiritual heart. And as each one of us breathes from our heart, let our intention be to sense the awakening of the flame of love, the light of love that comes from the fullness of living each moment as the gift that it is, with all its messiness, those opportunities to look, see, and tell the truth of stories that no longer serve our highest good. Stories of not enough, unlovable, unwanted. I don't need anybody. I deserve. I need more to be happy. I'm entitled. And as we allow those stories to be brought into the fullness of our awareness, we are gentle. Oh, so gentle with ourselves. For in the space of gentleness, it is then where the soul feels safe to reveal its need to each one of us of what must die to the old so that we may be born anew to new life. And so as we allow the light of awareness to fill us, as we are willing courageously to release old, false stories, we get a glimmer of the light that we truly are, not just into our intellectual mind, but in our hearts. As our hearts widen with gratefulness, the joy to be on this journey, to awaken, the joy to breathe, to have a cup of coffee, to awaken, and allowing everything and everyone to be our teacher. Breathing that in, resting in the stillness of our hearts, let us affirm, thank you for the gift of this life. Thank you for the gift of this life. Thank you for the gift of this life. Breathing in, I know that I am breathing in, and breathing out, I know I am breathing out. Breathing in, I allow the fullness of life to touch me. I allow myself to be vulnerable, to do the dance of dying to the old and being born anew, the beautiful dance of life, of evolving, of being the light of this world. And so taking a deep breath in one more time, I am grateful for this life. Together, I am grateful for this life. I invite you to, if it feels right, rub your hands together, perhaps rub the sides of your legs. Raise your hands, if that is right, upward or to your sides. embracing the fullness of all of it right where you are as we say, Amen. And so it is. Namaste.